You ever been driving down the road and you just see a car and you absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to cause an accident at some point during the day? Do you ever see a car and you're just absolutely fearful of the make of the car because you know the person driving it has a death wish and probably is going to try to kill you at some point? Well, that's why this video is being made. Let's rank and sort the worst cars by driver. Whoo, we got some doozies out here. Worst cars of the bunch, no regard for life. These cars, the drivers of these cars, typically do not care at all if they are maimed or killed, and especially if you are maimed or killed. Avoid at all costs for the most part. They're slightly better than the no regard for life cars, but still pretty terrible. Terrible. Very self-explanatory. If you don't get that one, you probably drive one of the top two cars, if I'm being honest. So safe, it's kind of dangerous. People who are so cautious that it ends up being beneficial to just avoid them completely. Neutral. Could go either way. And good drivers. Not going to lie, not going to be too many people down here, if any at all. So, the 1998 Jeep Cherokee. I'm actually going to go ahead and put them in the good drivers category. If you still are rocking a 98 Jeep Grand Cherokee, then, I mean, for the most part, you care about that vehicle, right? It's probably the car you had in high school. Like, you're probably really stoked on it. It brings back fond memories. You're probably a good driver. So I'm going to put you here. The mid-2000s Mustang. Now, this is the opposite train of thought. If you still have a mid-2000s Mustang, you're a terrible driver. I can say that with the utmost confidence. Like, you're trying to run this thing into the ground. There's no reason you should still be driving this car. It's because you hate your life, frankly. The Buick Lucerne. Oh my God. No regard for life. If you think to yourself, do I know anyone who drives a Buick Lucerne? There is absolutely 0% chance that you think of that person as a good driver. I feel like majority of the people watching this video, however many of you that may be, have been personally victimized by a Buick Lucerne in your life. At some point within the last 5 years, you've been cut off in traffic, almost hit, somebody's blown through a stop sign in a Buick Lucerne. The people who drive the Buick Lucerne, I don't know if it's the little air vent holes on the side that, give +7 speed or whatever, but they drive minimum 10 miles over the speed limit, no matter what the speed limit is. If it's a 15, they're going 30. If it's a 30, they're going 40, 100%. And there's no way you can convince me otherwise. I'm sorry. This might be the worst car on the entire list. I'm sorry. Like, it might be the worst car on the entire list. The reason I say that is there's some other cars that definitely are high up in accident reports, but I just feel like the type of person who drives a Buick Lucerne actively wants to die or kill someone else. I'm not entirely sure. Honda Civic. Terrible. Terrible for weird reasons. I would feel like some of them are so safe it's kind of a danger. Other ones are like teenagers that get a car that goes kind of fast, I guess, and they think that they can go a million miles an hour and end up hitting a telephone pole, or more often than not end up just sideswiping your car for no reason. So I'm gonna put them in terrible. They're less like dangerous than the Mustang people because the Mustang people have like the despair about them that is very scary on the road. Heavy hitter time. The Nissan Altima. Look, for pure danger factor, I'm going to put the Nissan Altima, specifically the 2015 to 2018 Nissan Altima. That seems to be the one. That's the victimizer right there. For pure numbers, I'm going to put it ahead of the Buick Lucerne, but I will say that the people who drive Buick Lucernes are infinitely more dangerous. Like, they are. From a mentality standpoint. Usually the people who drive Altimas are just horrible drivers, right? But they don't typically have an active death wish. The Buick Lucerne people, active death wish. Things have not gone well in their life and they're going to take it out on everybody in the road. Like, which one of these two cars do you think is more likely to have a road rage incident? The Lucerne. The Lucerne, 100%. Now don't let Nissan Altimas off too easy. We all also have been personally victimized by a Nissan Altima. Has it been as extreme as the Buick Lucerne victimization? No, but I guarantee right now you could go get in your car, drive into a semi-busy part of town, and at some point you'll either get brake checked on accident or on purpose, or pulled out in front of by somebody in a 2015 to 2018 Nissan Altima. Something just triggers in your brain. The moment you realize, like, I can't drive a car at all. Like, if I took a driver's test again, I would probably fail. Once you realize that, a switch goes off in your mind where you're like, well, I actually have to go buy a Nissan Altima, because that seems to be the case. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's their shoddy construction, if it's just something radiates. I can't drive, so I need this car. Everyone knows about the Nissan Altima at this point, so it's like, whatever. The BMW, terrible. For the most part, the only thing that keeps them out of avoid at all costs is just because of the high maintenance costs and the fact that they spent too much money on this midlife crisis mobile right here. Yes, they really want to be Jason Statham from the Transporter, but they'll never be that good ever, or good looking. So they're just going to settle by driving like kind of an asshole and cutting people off. The Bronco. Neutral. It's too new of a car. Most people who have this vehicle have active leases, so they're kind of a little bit more chill. Give it about 5 years though, we'll be putting the Bronco up here in terrible at absolute minimum. Once these things start coming down in price a little bit, oh yeah, you'll be seeing these on more of my list. I don't know if I'm ever going to do this again, but if I do, guarantee the Bronco's up here. 5 years, yep. The Bug, so safe it's dangerous. I mean, you're going to get your asking for a DUI girl who just left the bar driving these, which is dangerous in and of itself. Do not drink and drive. For the most part, they're just going to go 5 under and probably cause like a crash in rush hour. But it'll be like a minor, scratch or like a fender bender. They're not really all that dangerous, but they do cause issues. The Buick LeSabre I would throw here as well. The only two people who drive Buick LeSabres are old people and people with a mid-connect, neither of which are incredibly dangerous, to be honest. Like, the amount of times I've seen a Buick LeSabre and heard slightly stupid bumping out of it is pretty uncountable, to be honest. And in the Midwest, that's very impressive. So, the Challenger. I would put the Challenger in terrible. They're not quite as reckless as the 2000s Mustang people, just because their car is very expensive. So I'd put them right here by the BMWs. Once again, they spent too much money to be completely reckless. But they will try to go too fast occasionally to show off to like whatever divorcee they have in the passenger seat. The Charger. Oh no, avoid the Charger at all costs. It's still a wee bit too expensive to put up here in the no regard for life. People who buy this care at least a little bit about their appearance based solely that they're buying this car. This car is the worst. The people who drive this car will insist that you can go 10 over in a 30. They're the type of people that'll be like, no, cops won't pull you over if you're going 42 in a 30. You need to be 15 over. That's the type of vibe you're getting from a Charger driver. I have never seen one of these things going the speed limit. Truly. Ever. I don't think, unless there's a cop right behind them, there's no way you're catching this thing going the speed limit. It's rare you might even catch this thing going 5 over. Minimum 7. 100%. These things are just stockpiling in junkyards at the moment because of how many accidents they get into on a near daily basis. The Charger is truly one of the worst cars in the world. I'm sorry, it is. The Chevy S10, avoid at all costs. In the year of our Lord 2022, if you run into somebody driving a Chevy S10, you need to run. If you see cigarette smoke coming out of it, that's a Maverick menthol and you need to go. A, nobody who drives S10s at this point cares about their lives. And B, nobody who smokes Maverick menthols. Marlboro menthols probably not either, but Maverick menthols especially not. That combo, get out of here. If there's like a fishing sticker on the back or some sort of racing sticker on the back, you need to get out of here. And I'm not talking about like cool racing. I'm talking about like stock cars. You know what I mean? Go. Bonus points if there's scrap metal in the bed. There's scrap metal in the bed, which, I'll be honest, there often is. Like, I can picture at least 5 cars that drive around my neighborhood right now that drive around with just piles of like old air conditioners and like random assorted metals. Like, I guarantee you're sitting to yourself like, damn, dude, I saw that too. Yeah, you did. The Chevy Silverado. Terrible. I mean, American trucks, typically the people that drive them are at least partially terrible drivers, but at the same time, like, they kind of love their trucks like they're like family members, so they don't want to destroy them. So I would put them in like terrible tier. Like, you've heard country songs, they love their trucks. Like, they're not actively trying to like destroy their truck like the Lucerne or the Altima. Chevy Suburban, avoid at all costs for sure. Chevy Suburban is for soccer moms that want to have a little bit of an edge, but they also want to make sure that if they get in an accident, the person they hit will die 100% and they will be just fine. So for that reason and that reason alone, you need to avoid them. They usually have good insurance too, which is never a good sign. They're in the Suburban swerving. Sipping on Henny, maybe not, but swerving in the Suburban, 100%. Shout out to 50 Cent. I think that's high all the time. What a classic. The Chevy Suburban is a dangerous vehicle. Now, they still kind of like have a family, so they're not like totally disregarding their own life. I would say the only reason they're not disregarding their own life is mainly because, like, the car's kind of expensive, and you buy this car specifically so that if you hit someone, you don't die. You know what I mean? The Mini Cooper. Oh, man. All right. Terrible. Most people who drive Mini Coopers are absolutely terrible drivers, straight up. The Italian Job just ruined the Mini Cooper. I don't know if it's even like something in the forefront of people's minds anymore. The movie came out in 2003, but just psychologically, it broke the Mini Cooper driver. I'm sorry. And I've known some terrible Mini Cooper drivers. Like, horrible. Toyota Corolla, neutral. You get best of both worlds here. You know, you kind of, you see some bad drivers, but for the most part, they're just kind of chilling. The Corvette, I would say, is neutral as well, and that really stems from the type of people that drive the Corvette. You know, divorcees, midlife crisis, retirees, typically not the most dangerous drivers in the road, so for that reason, I would say neutral. They probably spent too much on it, too. The Crown Vic, oh yeah, avoid at all costs. Nobody buys a Crown Vic for recreational purposes. You buy a Crown Vic because you're an asshole. Let's be real. Nobody buys a Crown Vic for funsies. 100% chance if you drive a Crown Vic, you can find mid-grade. Like, you have a brick connection on deck where you can get like $10 quarters. There's no way. You cannot tell me otherwise. There's no way. If you know someone with a Crown Vic right now, 100% chance they can get terrible weed. No question. No question. I don't even, yeah. The Chevy Cruze. I would put that up here in the no regard for life section, honestly. Nobody chooses to live the Chevy Cruze lifestyle. Like, they don't. I think I said Cruze. Doesn't matter. Nobody chooses to live the lifestyle. The lifestyle comes to them. People who drive this car, in addition to not fearing for their own safety or caring about literally anyone else's, have completely checked out of life. You made the conscious decision to buy a Chevy Cruze, which means you are probably miserable and don't care about anything at that point. And also, you probably can't drive. I would still say it's third, though. Altima and the Lucerne, top tier. The Cube. So safe, it's kind of dangerous. You don't really see these too much, but when you do, they're going 500, 100%. The Durango. Okay, this thing has a Hemi in it for seemingly no reason whatsoever, and the people who drive that are absolutely fully aware of that. There's no way you've seen one of these within the last few years that doesn't have front end damage. There's no possible way. Like, absolutely no way you've seen a crisp Durango. No, it absolutely has at least a side dent. At bare minimum. I would put it up here by the Tahoe because they have less to lose because it's like a cheap car that you can buy right now, and it gets like 8 miles to the gallon. The Mitsubishi Eclipse. Terrible, but these people treat these cars like they're absolutely pristine classic cars. So for the most part, they're gonna fly past you, they're gonna show off a little bit, but deep down they don't want to hurt their Mitsubishi Eclipse. Unless it's a Mitsubishi Eclipse 4th gen, where at that point, if you bought that, you don't care about anything. I would put that probably avoid at all costs, honestly. That thing is so horrendous looking. This at least looks kind of cool. The GMC Envoy, oh my God. Chevy Blazer also goes here. Specific shout out to the 2010 to like 2011 models, somewhere around there. Probably like 08 to like 2011. Those are home to some of the worst drivers and some of the most reckless drivers in the entirety of the United States, possibly the world, depending on how much this was exported. Be super sick if there was like a reckless Chevy Blazer driver in like Poland. That would be so tight. Once again, just like the Buick Lucerne, you've been victimized by one of these cars. You just don't know that. Maybe the car that sideswiped you, that you never saw outside your house, it was one of these, more than likely. If you have a local scanner page that you can go look at the various crimes and accidents that are going on in your town, not a week will go by where one of these things is not involved. I'm sorry. Not necessarily crimes, but accidents. Oh yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it. Just drive down the road. You see an accident, high probability one of them is a Blazer or an Envoy. They're everywhere, and not one of them doesn't have damage on it. Yeah, keep your eye out now. Now that you're driving around, you're going to be like, damn, dude, that's another Envoy with front end damage? That's wild. Yes, correct. And it's always in the front. It's never in the back. Truly, never in the back. The Explorer, neutral. I mean, look, if you buy one of these cars in 2022, like a new one, you're rude because everyone's going to think you're a cop. And I know that's what you want deep down. Truly, you want to feel that power of being behind people and watching them slow down. But then you get mad at them for slowing down, even though it's like totally your fault. But I would say they're chaotic neutral. I don't have a specific tier for that, but that's kind of what I would put them at. Like F-150, it's an American truck, terrible. I think the Chevy Silverado guys are a little bit worse. No, the F-150 guys are way worse. Like, I don't know. The Chevy guys kind of love their truck a lot. The F-150 guys seem to hold contempt towards their truck, so they drive it like they want it to explode. And that's pretty dangerous, I would say. Ford Focus hatchback specifically, terrible. These people think they have a race car, but they don't. I would put it in the same league as the Mini Cooper. They're about to speed by you, but they don't realize like how small and dangerous their car is. Chances are they're going to like sideswipe you or run a red light. So not the most dangerous thing in the world, but there. The newer Ford Focus, they're kind of expensive, and I would say the same thing that I said about the Explorer. Like if you buy one of these, you just want people to think you're a cop. Right? That's all you want. You just want to be behind people at night and have them freak out, see them jostling around, slow down 5 miles per hour. Like, that's what you want. Maybe not outright, but psychologically, that's what you want. The Ford Windstar. Oh, my God. The Ford Windstar is the creme de la creme of terrible minivans. Like, this is easily the scariest minivan to see in traffic, especially in 2022. I think they discontinued this years ago, so that's already not a good sign. If you see a discontinued model of a car out there, unless it's like a classic car, you need to run away. The Ford Windstar, at least in my area of the Midwest, was responsible for more accidents than any minivan in the continental United States. Do I have facts to back this up? No. But with my own two eyes, I've seen more Windstars at the junkyard at my town than any other minivan. And that has to say a lot. And if you're still whipping a Windstar at this point, you're either a super loyal customer for some reason, or you don't care about life anymore. Life has passed you by and you're ready to pass someone else's life by, to be honest. Ooh. GMC Sierra, I mean, it's truck things. Like, they all kind of go right here. I'm not going to go. All three trucks are the same. I think the F-150 kind of brings out the worst in people, but these trucks are not exactly great either. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, so this is a surprising one, but the Volkswagen Golf is, I think I said golf, but Golf, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. I actually went on Reddit for this one, and apparently this is ranked one of the worst cars as far as worst cars via driver. Apparently, Volkswagen Golf people are the absolute worst. This must be more of a California thing. I'm not personally too familiar with this. I haven't been victimized by a Volkswagen Golf. Jettas, plenty of times. Golfs, almost never, but I can totally see it. It just has that vibe of like, I think I have a nice car, so I'm going to whip it like one, but I don't, you know? And that's always kind of scary. Honda Fit, neutral for the most part. I think a lot of people that drive Honda Fits are pretty neutral. I mean, you're going to get your dude who's really excited about the paddle shifters and stuff, but like I don't think anyone's whipping the Honda Fit like that. I'm sorry. It's just not. Odysseys are horrible. Like the Windstars, it's worse because the people who drive them are, you know, a little bit more downtrodden, but the soccer moms that whip the Odyssey, they absolutely hate their lives. Like, they would love to get in a car accident and have everybody, like, pine over them and give them attention. It's what they would like most in life. They're feeling unappreciated. So they would love to almost die in a car wreck and have everybody at their bedside at the hospital praying for their well-being. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Guarantee. Like, they would love that. They're feeling unappreciated. They work a job they hate, or they're a stay-at-home mom. Their husband doesn't care about them anymore. Probably cheats on them all the time. They just want attention. And they're going to get it by ramming their Honda Odyssey into, like, the back of your Prius. The Hummer. Avoid at all costs as well. The Hummer really sums up the American way of thinking 100%, not to get all political here, but, like, the Hummer is a vehicle where you buy it specifically because you know, just like the Tahoe, but to an even more ridiculous extreme, that if you buy this vehicle, no matter what happens, you will be okay and the other person will die. Like, no question. A little bit less with like the H3 and stuff, but when it comes to like the H1 and the H2, like, you know for an absolute fact that you will survive that crash and the other person probably won't. The Jeep Renegade. Terrible. It's still a little bit more expensive than some of the other budget SUVs, so they're going to take a little bit better care of it, but most people who got Jeep Renegade, they don't care about their own safety for the most part. The Jetta. Yeah, the Jetta's pretty bad. I think the Crown Vic is probably over here. Yeah. Jetta's pretty bad. It's usually whipped by people who are just bad at driving, though. Like, straight up. That's, all genders, by the way. I know the Jetta is thought of as like a quote-unquote girl car, but no, dude, I've seen plenty of men whipping Jettas into terrible fashion as well. It knows no bounds. Kia Soul. So safe, it's kind of dangerous. 100%. The people who drive Kia Souls are, for lack of a better term, puss. They are. And they're probably not gunning it in the Kia Soul. I mean, yes, you're going to get your, like, kind of crazy people that drive Kia Souls for the most part, but if you made the conscious decision to go pick up a Kia Soul, like, you have a coward's heart. I'm sorry. So you're not going to be driving all crazy in that. You're just going to hope to make it to your destination safe and sound. The Chevy Malibu. Specifically 2008 to about 2011, but realistically any Chevy Malibu. This is by far, bar none, the most dangerous car on the road. Bonus points if they have a baby up in this bitch sticker on the whip. If you see a Malibu with side or front end damage, a baby up in this bitch sticker, and any other numerous red flags, you need to go. You need to go ASAP. Chevy Malibus are the worst cars on the road, period. Like, the Lucerne is up there, and I think the Lucerne overall might be a little bit worse, but the difference is that there's so many more Malibus. There's so much more to fear. You might run into a couple Buick Lucernes, and you're like, okay, I gotta get over here for a little bit, but I'll be all right. You can't look down a street without seeing a Chevy Malibu. Guess what? They're all ready to murder you. Nobody drives a Chevy Malibu cautiously. They're going to blow through red lights. They're going to blow through stop signs. They're going to hit people. Look, I might be biased because last year, a drunk driver in a Chevy Malibu absolutely obliterated me while I was going through a green light. And since then, I have taken mental note of all the Chevy Malibu related incidents in just my small town of 150,000 people. And my God, I swear they get into an accident every day, if not every other day. There are so many Chevy Malibus, and majority of them get into accidents at some point. Now, the newer ones, because they're new, people drive them a little bit better, but when it comes to the ones you can buy for $3,500, no. Those are demolition derby cars, and they are treated as such. And they will ruin your entire day. Like, I'm not kidding. It's kind of scary, to be honest. I am horrified of the Chevy Malibu. Like, I'm more afraid of the Chevy Malibu than I am spiders or clowns. The Mazda 6. They're just terrible. I mean, like, I've run into people who are horrible drivers that drive these, and people who are just kind of like there. I would put it by, like, Challenger. The newer Mustang, I would say they're neutral. These are kind of expensive, so I feel like a lot of the people, like, don't drive them completely terribly. But, you'll get the odd one out every once in a while. But, like I said, for the most part, the Prius is literally the poster child for so safe it's kind of dangerous. I mean, honestly, I might move them up to just straight terrible. Yeah, terrible. I'm going to actually put them avoid at all costs, but for different reasons than some of the other cars. The Prius driver is going to drive so carefully that it turns dangerous. Like, and I know I have a whole tier for that, but the Prius driver invented the wheel in this case. Like, they're going to switch lanes and then slam the brakes on so they can go 2 under while you're flying up behind them. That will happen on a near constant basis. And the worst part about it is they're going to be super smug about it the entire time because they're driving a Prius, which bumps them up a couple ranks in my opinion. I don't know how you feel. That's just it. The Range Rover. Neutral because it costs too much money. So I feel like for the most part, people are going to be at least kind of okay drivers most of the time. Now that isn't always the case, but it's there. The Saturn TC1, this is a throwback. Where all my old heads at. No regard for, no, I would say just terrible. Avoid at all costs would be what I would say here. This car back in the 2000s, about late 2000s specifically, a vast majority of high schoolers had this car. Weirdly enough, a lot of them in like black or yellow. I don't know. But these cars would impede traffic on a near constant basis. I still think the S10's a little bit worse than the Durango, and the Crown Vic. So yeah, this is where I would put it. But these cars would come out of nowhere and they would cause accidents and they would just be genuinely terrifying at a near constant basis. Have you ever ridden in the car with somebody who's driving one of these? You think you're going to die all the time. Like, you just kind of hold on and close your eyes and just pray you make it to the destination. Dead serious. A Scion TC. Once again, avoid at all costs. Have you ever seen a Scion TC that's in mint condition? No, you have not, because those don't exist. I'm pretty sure they sell them straight off the lot with dents in them, right? And I'm talking brand new, not out of a used car dealership like Dave's Car Bin, okay? No. Like, brand new, they have a dent somewhere on the car because they're meant to be dented. There's no reason to take care of the Scion TC. No. You buy this car specifically to be reckless. No other reason. It's bad. It's a bad car. It's just the smart car. Good drivers. And the reason I say they're good drivers is because they actually have to, because if they're not good drivers, they will die. Because if you drive a smart car, you're at a high level of danger. And I feel like most people who drive smart cars know that, so they're kind of more chill and more alert on the road because you're driving like a literal tin can that could get crushed by any number of these avoid at all cost super vehicles over here. Like, imagine a Hummer hit a smart car. That person would die. You know what I mean? It would be no question. The Subaru WRX, I just realized like the pictures got cut off here quite a bit. I would say terrible. They're bad drivers. They're annoying. Every time you go under an underpass or like a bridge, they're going to rev their engine real loud to get the rocks off. I don't know. But for the most part, they've invested too much money in this dumbass car. So they're probably going to try really hard to not crash it. That would be my assumption anyway. You're going to get the people who don't care because like their parents are rich, but those are few and far between. Most of them have factory jobs. They work at like a potato chip processing plant. They make like pretty good money for age 22, and they spend it on a Subaru with $40,000 worth of upgrades and completely in debt themselves for at least the next 10 years based solely on that. So they're not exactly in a rush to crash the car is what I'm saying. This is a Hall of Fame. This is a legacy edition right here. This isn't a car that you'll ever see on the road right now. And if you do, that's terrifying. And usually it looks like a hoarder's living inside of it for the most part. At least that's my personal experience. But the Pontiac Sunfire, this is the granddaddy of all scary cars. Everything I said about the Chevy Cruze goes quintuple for the Pontiac Sunfire. Except we're not at the point quite yet where the Chevy Cruze is like a high schooler whip yet either, like a high schooler junker car, but we were at that point with the Sunfire. My God. This car is a danger. They should never bring it back. If they ever bring back an updated Sunfire, the end of the world is upon us and we need to go, because this thing was an absolute nightmare. Like, my mom had one of these and she is a horrible driver. Okay, so that should tell you right off the bat, right? I knew uncountable amount of people who had these cars. None of them were good drivers. I think you had to take a driving test to buy one of these, and you had to prove that you sucked at driving before they would let you drive off the lot with the Sunfire. I'm just convinced. Like, I don't think they let you like drive off the lot unless you had sub 700 credit. I just don't think that's the case. I think they were like, yo, we need you to have a 550 before you can get a Sunfire brand new. The Tahoe. I would say the Tahoe and the Bourbon are very close together, but I would say the Tahoe is just a little bit worse. I don't know why, but it seems like the Tahoe drivers seem to be a little bit more aggressive. Maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe that's just a Midwest thing. I don't know, but that's kind of what it feels like. The 2000s Ford Taurus. I have such fond memories. I will say that my best friend growing up drove a 2000 Ford Taurus, and he did his own fault wreck it and total it, but up to that point and since then he's been a fantastic driver. So I want to give it points for that, but the amount of like 2000 to 2003 Ford Tauruses I see with like terrible local metal band stickers driving around, like it's bad. There's a reason that the 2000 Ford Taurus was featured prominently on the second shift McDonald's manager starter pack, because It really is that kind of car. The white Ford Taurus seems to be the worst. Like, I don't know what it is about the all white Ford Taurus, but that's the one that seems to be the most dangerous. Now, you don't see these vehicles too often anymore, so this is more of a legacy edition, but you belong in terrible. For sure. The Tesla. Oh God, terrible. Now, they still in the back of their minds are realizing that they're way overpaying for this car and probably deeply indebted because of it, but I don't know what it is, but when people get in a Tesla, they just assume every other driver on the road needs to bow to them, so they will just be complete assholes with this giant, dumb, big screen in front of them. Looks like they're playing on their computer while they're driving, and like, they will cut off anybody, they will get in your way, they will stare you down, they will act like you cannot penetrate them. Like, the Tesla driver seems to believe that they're in some sort of military vehicle most of the time, where if a road rage incident were to occur, either they think that they would get out and like defend the car, or the car would defend them, or that it's impenetrable. None of those are true. The average Tesla driver would get beat the 100%. No questions asked. But if you see one specifically in a parking lot, I've noticed that the Tesla driver is at their most aggressive in the parking lot. Like, you will see them straight camp for a parking spot. I've seen Tesla drivers just kind of like sitting outside grocery stores just waiting for someone to come out, and then they'll follow them to the parking spot, especially when it's really busy. That's some psychotic behavior, dude. That's only some Tesla behavior. And finally, the Jeep Wrangler. I would say good drivers. I was going to say Jangler. Jeep Wrangler drivers are typically very good drivers. And the reason for that is because they pride themselves on their Jeep. Call themselves Jeepers. They spent way too much money on this Jeep with little upgrades and little like personalization options. So they're not trying to ruin that at all. Majority of time when you see a Jeep Wrangler, especially if it's been lifted in any capacity, those people are going to be excellent drivers. Mainly because they have to, because they've sunk a majority of their savings into this car, and it's like tied to their personality in a way that's very codependent. Like a Tesla driver is going to have that tied to their personality, but that's more of like a bragging thing. The Jeep person believes they're part Jeep. You know what I mean? Jeep is their lifestyle. They go out on Sundays and find like another group of people with Jeeps, and then they all drive around and call each other Jeepers and stuff. I know that does not just happen in the Midwest. That happens everywhere. I know it does. Do not tell me otherwise. Where would you rank these cars? Is there a car that I missed? Let me know down in the comments below. I don't know why I use my Watch Mojo voice right there. That's not me at all. I'm super high. Peace out.